Hey everyone and welcome to another video, guys. So this morning I was rewatching the VOD of Team Liquid versus Legacy Esports, and as I was watching the VOD I was thinking to myself, wow, what an amazing VOD to highlight all of the small details and intricacies of mid-jungle duo within competitive play. Now, a lot of the concepts I'm going to talk about within this video are directly translatable to duo queue, some amateur games, clash games, flex queue, that sort of thing. Now, in order to really get into the details, in order to really get into the nitty gritty, we need to go all the way back to the draft phase, go from start to finish. We need to talk about both team compositions and their win conditions. And at the end of the video, what I'm going to do is really talk about what Legacy could have done to maximize their chances of winning this game given their team comp. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into these first two bans over here. And we see Nidalee and Lilia ban. Now, if you were to see Lilia and Nidalee ban, to me personally, it does scream that Broxah definitely wants Graves. So I was a little bit surprised that Legacy didn't respond with a Graves ban, but for whatever reason, they let it through and Broxah was able to first pick the Graves. It's not the end of the world because there are other AP junglers in the game. There's Karthus, there's Gragas, there's Evelynn, that sort of thing. But you are kind of limited, and these are, in my opinion, the two strongest AP junglers on the current patch. And for those of you who don't know why you want to be going in AP jungle versus Graves, it's basically because True Grit on the E gives you bonus armor. So if Graves is versing an AD jungle on the enemy team, it's likely he's going to be able to win those 1v1s, control the river, control the vision, that sort of thing, and win those 1v1 skirmishes. But anyway, it's not the end of the world. You can even still go an AD jungle into Graves and just complement it with an AP mid. But then Legacy, on the other hand, over here, lock in Lucian. So I was like, alright, they still are definitely going for an AP jungle. They're maybe going to play Karthus or Eve or something like that. So I saw the Lucian, but Lucian into Graves isn't too good because, well, two reasons. Obviously, Graves with True Grit and Tarbies is incredibly difficult to kill for Lucian. And on top of that, Smokescreen is actually a pain in the ass for Lucian because Smokescreen is very good into auto attack based champions, and especially low range champions that need to get up in the action, which exactly is what Lucian needs to do. And on top of that, if Lucian gets smokescreened, then he's not going to know where to aim his culling. So Smokescreen is very good into Lucian. But anyway, Legacy go for Thresh and Lucian as their first two picks, and on the other side here, Team Liquid respond with Ashe and Orianna. Now this is interesting because Orianna into Lucian, it is Lucian favored 1v1 and it is a bit of a skill matchup, but if Lucian does not have river control and Lucian doesn't feel safe enough to be able to E forward and really play very aggressive, then Orianna can easily minimize, scale well into team fights, and to be honest with you, if Orianna gets to Lost Chapter for free, Lucian actually kind of starts to lose pretty hard because he doesn't want to build any MR, so he can kind of get one shot. So Orianna is a decent response into Lucian if you have a plan within the jungle role. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. Ashe is a very good complement to this mid-jungle 2v2 because Graves and Orianna have no CC. So generally in Worlds, you're going to see one or two things. Either the CC and the play setup is going to come through mid-jungle. You're going to see things like hard CC, things like Galio, Twisted Fate, even Lilia in the jungle, things with CC. Or they're going to play more for pressure and scaling and team fighting and priority, and the CC is going to come from other roles. That's why we're going to see it through like Leona, Rakan, Ornn, things like that. And we also saw it in the Supermassive game where they played Azir Nidalee mid-jungle, but in the other roles they had Senna, Leona, and Wukong. So this makes a lot of sense here, getting CC from the AD carry role. Yes, Orianna and Graves have a lot of utility through smokescreen, slows, pullbacks, and things like that, but it's no comparison to hard CC like Ashe Arrow and things like that. So very solid. I really like it. And now, even now, looking back at Legacy's draft, I was thinking, okay, they can still salvage this with an AP jungle pick. But then I see the Ziggs. Now, this is where I was a little bit concerned. Now I was starting to think, okay, well, maybe they're going to just go for AP through bot lane and top lane and play an AD champion in the jungle. But still, I was thinking, oh, they could still go an AP jungle. So let's just see how they round it out. They end up banning Blitzcrank here, which is a counter to Thresh, so a solid ban. They banned Camille off to Topoon because Topoon is known for his Camille, very good Camille player, carry player. They end up banning Pantheon. I don't really know how that 2v2 goes bots, so I'm assuming Pantheon's just a very strong pick on the current patch, so they take away the Panth. Then they banned Evelynn, which is a great ban, again, limiting the amount of AP junglers coming out from Legacy Esports. And now, they were hovering Gragas, they were hovering Skarner, that sort of thing. Now they ended up opting in for Jarvan. Now, wow, what a difficult team comp to execute. Jarvan as a champion, let's just actually just look at this 2v2 first. Yes, Jarvan offers a lot within a team comp as a 5, but let's just actually specifically look at the mid-jungle 2v2. Jarvan is very bad into Graves because Graves can avoid all of the damage, can get out of the EQ combo, can get out of the ultimate, that sort of thing. Graves is good into Lucian because of the smoke screen, and now he's versing double AD mid-jungle. So he gets insane value from Tabis. His True Grit gets insane value. And this basically means that, and the other thing, sorry, with Jarvan, is that Jarvan needs to create chaos in the early game. He gets outpaced by Graves, sorry. He gets outscaled by Graves, and he doesn't even win 2v2 skirmishes versus Graves anymore. Yes, Jarvan is good traditionally into Orianna because Orianna has no gap closer, and if you are able to blow Orianna's flash once, you can easily re-gank Orianna. But given that Graves surely will have the tempo advantage over the Jarvan, will have, camp advantage over the Jarvan, have the 1v1 strength over the Jarvan, it's going to be very difficult for Jarvan to set these ganks up onto this Orianna or have the room to be able to set these ganks up. So right now I'm thinking this is incredibly problematic. It's not over, but it's an extremely difficult comp from Legacy to execute right now. Because the pressure is on them to get things done. Now, if this was a Chinese team, Legacy's comp maybe like a Chinese team, then yes, maybe I can see this working. But already when you're versing a world-class team like Team Liquid, playing this very early game aggressive style is very hard to execute. But as I mentioned before, Team Liquid probably need a little bit more CC to complement this Orianna and this Graves. They end up going Ornn in the top lane and going Rakan in the support position. And these two picks are very good into Ziggs because Ziggs obviously is very, wants to poke from a distance, doesn't want to verse any hard engaged champions. And then when you're Ziggs seeing an Ornn, a Rakan, it is very problematic for those 5v5 team fights. So I'm really liking Team Liquid's comp for multiple reasons. It has a very clear identity, solid team fighting, hard engage into poke. It has a good balance of damage spread. You've got AP, a really solid 1v9 AP style champion out of the mid lane. You've got a balance of CC, and you've also got decent scaling. So across the board, a very solid composition. And now, obviously, Legacy need more AP to round out this composition, so they rounded out with a Sylas. And the Sylas pick makes a lot of sense. I actually really like the Sylas pick because Sylas gets a lot of value from Ornn ult, gets a lot of value from Ashe and Rakan ult, and actually wins the 1v1 matchup quite well. So overall, very solid pick in the top lane, but it just feels like the rest of the composition is going to struggle a lot. Now, we'll come back and talk a little bit more about this composition, but let's actually dive into the gameplay. There was actually a pretty big pause. Let's actually skip forward a bit here. Now, first thing we need to talk about before we talk about jungle pathing, we need to talk about this summoner spell choice from Tally. I really disagree with taking teleport in this specific game. Because you have a Jarvan, and because your Jarvan ideally needs to get things done, he needs to be getting in Graves' face early, he needs to be going for early ganks, early 2v2s, blowing flashes, getting stuff done, it feels to me you'd be getting a lot more value out of either an exhaust, a heal, or an ignite. You already should, in theory, have full wave control, be able to get a reset whenever you want. I just don't really see the value of going TP. The only thing I'd say here, maybe the reason why he took TP is thinking, okay, we have a pretty good 1-3-1 comp. If we get into mid game, I can go in the side lane. TP allows me to navigate the side lane much easier, and Ziggs can just wave clear mid. So if they ever do get into a 1-3-1 like opportunity or position, then yes, the TP comes into play. But I just don't think if you're thinking that far ahead, like how the hell are you gonna get there? Like, how are you going to get there with Jarvan Lucian into Orianna Graves? So that's already a big problem in my opinion, and I think they'll get a lot more value out of a combat spell. Anyway, and what we're going to do first, let's play out, let's actually go over the VOD and actually play it out to see what Team Liquid and Legacy do. Then we're going to kind of rewind it and talk about what Legacy could have done or should have done in hindsight. So, Team Liquid go for a level 1 invade. Now, this is very, very smart. Now, this is generally what we call trading sides of the map. So what happens if they invade level 1, even if they see them, Jarvan has two options. Here's first option, and most of the time this is what will happen. They will trade sides of the map, where Jarvan now is going to go vertical, jungle. He's forced now to play towards this Ornn and Sylas lane. He's going to probably go red, blue, maybe take some wolves, Gromp, come back, whatever. And he's going to look to play towards this Sylas Ornn lane. Now, this actually makes Jarvan's pathing incredibly one-dimensional. It's going to be very difficult for Jarvan to get ganks off mid because Orianna can always lean onto the bot side. It's also going to pretty much obliterate Jarvan's chances of getting a gank off bot lane, which is quite problematic because Ashe Rakan in an isolated 2v2 is going to be quite nice. They're going to be able to build waves into the Ziggs, deny Ziggs some CS under tower, that sort of thing. And on top of that, they're probably going to be able to, get an early dragon, that sort of thing. And this really just plays into Graves' strength because Graves farms faster, can get camps, camps way faster. He's going to get a free early game. Jarvan's not going to be able to create any chaos. And basically, if Graves is able to get to level 4 before Jarvan gets blows a flash or gets things done, he's already outscaled. Like, Jarvan's literally just already outscaled by level 4. So anyway, Broxah starts this blue. And we'll talk about the other option of what Legacy can do later on, but we'll just play it out first. Jarvan does the vertical jungle, goes to the blue. Tali's doing okay in the mid lane right now. Looks like Broxah is taking Gromp. Some heavy trading going on the top lane. Fast forwarding just a little bit. Nothing too fancy going on here. Tali ends up warding the bot side of the lane. And as we can see here, Ziggs and this Thresh are probably going to get bullied quite hard. They're going to get waves built into them. It's going to be quite problematic for them. Again, vertical jungle from Graves as well. This very much suits the Graves. Now, fast forwarding a little bit, Jarvan does an incredibly inefficient path where he has to go, because he needs to actually get these Raptors. He goes red, blue, wolves, Gromp, goes back to his Raptors, and then you'll see in a second he goes to gank top. The reason he actually has to go for these Raptors is because if he doesn't take them, at some point Graves is probably going to come off the first clear and try and clear them himself. And if Graves is ever able to take those Raptors, it's GG. So Jarvan is forced to take these Raptors, take a pretty inefficient path, and then look for a gank top here. Now, let's actually take a look at the mid lane trades 1v1 right now. What do we see? Let's actually take a look at this. This wave state and this whole situation is incredibly good for Orianna. Now, why is that? There's no waves getting built and stacking into the Orianna. Now, in a second, you'll see Jarvan is about to gank top and show on the map. Now, Tali, in this specific wave situation, this is worst case scenario. Either one or two things happens here. Tali has to respect, let the wave come out and try and hold the wave on his side and maybe set up a gank on behalf of, or for the Jarvan, sorry, because, Orianna's quite an immobile mage. Or he's either slow building, poking under tower, harassing, and getting priority for his Jarvan to do an invade, create chaos, that sort of thing. But now, because there's this split map going on, Jarvan is forced to go for a top gank and play towards this Sylas Ornn lane. Now he goes for a gank, blows the flash, they don't kill the Ornn, and Ornn largely is able to farm under tower, nothing too special, and they were able to only blow a flash. Now, if you think about win conditions, your win condition now in Legacy, Jarvan showed on the map, so everyone else on the map, the Ziggs, the Thresh, and the Lucian, know they're in an isolated 1v1 and they're getting zero help from their jungle. So this also means that Tali, given that wave spot, is completely screwed. Tali can't prevent Ori from slow building out a wave and either harassing him under tower or getting a free recall. He knows that he can't trade aggressively because Graves is in the area and Jarvan cannot back him up. And on top of that, their bot lane 2v2 is getting absolutely pummeled. And on top of that, you are trying to dive an Ornn. Now, even if, best case scenario, you do get a kill for this Sylas, is the Sylas getting one kill going to outweigh Orianna, Graves, and this 2v2 and the amount of resources they're going to get? Is it going to outweigh this Rakan and Ashe getting a free lane and stacking dragons and this constant bot priority? Is this Sylas going to be able to take over the game against an Ornn? Because if you're Jarvan and you gank a lane, you need to constantly re-gank that lane. Generally, in competitive play, you get one or two meaningful ganks off pre-6. And it's all towards this Ornn lane, in which, are you going to be able to dive Ornn again and again and again? I don't think so. If this Ornn was maybe like an Aurelia or a Kayle or some very squishy carry-oriented top laner, then yes, this may be a viable strategy, but even then it's a stretch, but it's an Ornn. How many times can you dive an Ornn, or how difficult is it to dive an Ornn? So I'm not a fan of this strategy. And now, as you can see here, Tally really isn't able to play as aggressive as he wants. Jensen's able to kind of farm freely. He's still got one corrupting pot. He's actually ahead in pots at the moment. Barbip feels super pressured to do something because he knows he's going to get outscaled by Graves. He has to do something. And look how hard it is to dive it on. They can't even get the dive off. And now the game's over. In my opinion, the game is so boom because right now Graves has a tempo reset. Graves is going to come straight out of base, go get these wolves, and actually go to look to invade Jarvan's Raptors. And already he's going to be incredibly far ahead of Jarvan. Jarvan hasn't got a single kill. Yes, he's blown a flash, but he's blown the flash of an Ornn. He has not complemented his winnings. He's not complemented this Lucian pick at all. They haven't done any aggressive invades or denied Graves anything. Haven't caused chaos on the map. The two champions that you want to be ganking are this Orianna and this Ashe, these very two immobile champions. And now they're going to get to 6 and get a solid first base without blowing any flashes or any chaos. Graves now is going to be able to control river, deny camps, and they're going to basically win every single mid-jungle 2v2 and control the map. Now, as we see what happens, you'll see in a second. Fast forwarding a little bit here. Now, look at this wave state mid. Holy moly. And this, yes, Tally obviously is getting outplayed by Jensen in the 1v1, but how can you expect him to even navigate this? Because he knows his Jarvan showed on the map twice in top lane, so he's had zero help. And on top of that, yes, he had the early pressure. He was able to build waves and things like that, but it meant nothing. It meant nothing because Jarvan was doing something else. He wasn't invading Graves, getting in Graves' face. He wasn't doing anything like that. Tally actually needed to call Jarvan to mid to get help to contest this mid-jungle 2v2 when he was stronger than the Orianna. But now he had to play defensive. He wasn't able to E aggressively because Graves being in the area and Jarvan showing on the map. So he's just been getting left to his own device. Now Orianna has been dominating this trades 1v1. Tally's trying his best to not let Orianna slow build. And now this is when things get really, really messy. Okay, top is taking some solid trades top, great. Okay. Broxah now understands, and this is where the mid-jungle 2v2, and this is actually where my main point of this video, if we go all the way back here, Broxah has a very good understanding of how this matchup is going. They've obviously played this mid-jungle 2v2, or they understand how Lucian actually navigates. Broxah being in the area is waiting for Tally to E forward. If he ever E's forward, Broxah's going to be here, because he knows Tally needs to get this wave in, or Tally needs to be able to break this, get this wave in which it's going to bounce back, and then maybe they can create gank opportunity. And if Jensen is ever able to slow build a wave safely into this Lucian and get a free recall, the whole early lane's free. He's going to be able to get to a decent first base, and Lucian basic early pressures meant nothing. Anyway, fast forwarding here, Graves comes back out. They push Tally all the way back, and the reason they can do this is again, because there's Jarvan. They know Jarvan's on Krugs, or can't be here yet because he showed on top twice. Broxah goes all the way around, forces Tally's flash, and Tally misses around 3 waves under mid tower. This is absolute GG. The lane that meant to be your biggest form of pressure is now screwed. He's nearly down an entire level probably, or at least 3/4 of a level, which now means Jensen's going to get level 6 first. And now this is beautiful what happens next. What happens next here is that Broxah knows that the wave is slow building out. Jensen doesn't even need to TP. He can just walk mid. The wave is slow building back out. Broxah is taking Jarvan's Raptors on spawn. Barbip hasn't blown any flashes bot, hasn't blown any flashes mid, and is severely behind the Graves now, and has basically lost all opportunity to create chaos in this game. And this is where things get very spicy. Orianna's obviously thinning the wave, and because Jensen has that XP advantage, he's able to play very aggressively and prevent Tally from getting this wave in. So he's actually able to set up a freeze. Now, this is where the beauty of the mid-jungle 2v2 comes into play. He's obviously telling Broxah, or Broxah is also looking mid, saying, look, mid's frozen, come mid. He has no flash, there's nothing he can do, I have the XP advantage, it's completely free. So Jarvan is forced to show on the map again and help him get this wave out. And Tally's still taking really bad trades because he can't commit because he's too far behind in XP. And now, again, Jensen's chatting them out because he knows he has the XP advantage. They're stronger in the 2v2. and they're really desperate to get this wave in because the freeze is still here. He gets ulted, they die. Absolute GG destruction. They even TP, wasted TP. So the strong laner who you played for in the early game is forced to use TP, so his TP advantage has completely vanished. And now Orianna is going to demolish his 1v1. Graves will now be incredibly far ahead of this Jarvan. He's taken his Raptors. Jarvan has no Raptors to go back to. And that's it. The game's over by 6 minutes 30. It's absolute destruction. Yes, Graves won't be able to dive Ziggs very well. They won't be able to like do many proactive plays on bot. But the mid jungle 2v2 now is absolute destruction. They're going to have full river control. Sylas now has no TP, so they can actually even play a mid to bot dive, even knowing that Sylas can't TP. Lucian and Jarvan can't even follow. Graves is going to farm up an absolute storm. They're probably going to stack dragons here. They're probably going to get full Rift Herald control as well. I don't know how Legacy win this game from now. So you may ask, what could have Legacy done? So there's a few things that Legacy could have done in this game to completely change the course of how this played out. We need to go all the way back to level 1. Level 1. Now, BBP and Legacy actually see Team Liquid walk into the river here. And they walk into this blue. It's actually completely fine for them to take a blue. What Barbip actually should do, knowing that he's going to have pressure in mid lane, Lucian actually gets quite a lot of pressure over this Orianna in the early game. Jarvan, instead of doing a vertical map split, Jarvan actually goes from red all the way to here. Stops, either one or two things happens. Broxah doesn't go for Gromp and goes back to his red and goes back to his jungle, in which Jarvan can actually go straight from red to red. Jarvan can actually meet Graves in his jungle and utilize the Lucian pressure because Orianna doesn't want to follow those early roams. Yes, Ashe and Rakan might be able to get to the fight first, but screw it. Thresh is pretty strong. Rakan's actually pretty dog shit as a champion level 1 and 2. Lucian is way stronger than Orianna levels 1 and 2. And Jarvan is actually quite strong as a level 2 champion as well. And Brox is not going to have red buff. He only has blue. So it's red versus blue as well. So Jarvan walks all the way here. And if Broxah for some reason greeds, and they actually watered the Gromp, if Broxah actually greeds and stays on this Gromp, Jarvan can actually kill him on the Gromp, or actually catch him out. He can loop around, actually catch him out, blow his flash, or even kill him. So either way, Jarvan going here is really good. Now, you may say, well, isn't that really risky? Isn't it just going to create, like, who knows, that people are going to blow flashes? How do you know they're going to win it? They have to do this because this is the strength of their comp. If they play slow, they're just going to get outscaled and lose. Graves is going to outfarm, outscale. Their 2v2 is going to get completely outperformed. You need to utilize Lucian's pressure. You need to utilize your champion strength. And let's just say no one dies, but everyone blows flash. Maybe Orianna's forced to blow flash. Maybe Ashe or Rakan blows flash. Even Graves blows flashes. That's great. Because then, what does people with no flash mean? It means more gank opportunities. It means, especially when Jarvan hits level 6, there's more play opportunities. And things can actually start to happen. And Lucian then is able to, avoid getting completely destroyed by Graves in terms of river control. They're going to know where Graves is. Graves isn't going to be able to have that perfect, clean, clear, and farm up a storm. It's going to be very chaotic, and chaos is exactly what they want. And on top of that, Topoon versus Impact in the isolated 1v1 is going to be very good for Legacy because Sylas wins Ornn in the 1v1. He actually outscales the Ornn as well. So leave that on an island. That's completely fine. When it comes to level 6 team fights, there's going to be people with no flashes. Topoon most likely might even get a TP advantage 1v1, potentially. And they can take Ornn ult, they can make proactive plays, they can even play for Rift Heralds, play for Dragons, and create chaos in this game. That's how I actually see Legacy winning this game. The other thing that I think Legacy could have done way better here, because, again, doing this vertical jungle, where's your win condition? You're not utilizing you're not enabling your Lucian, you're not, even killing Ornn isn't really giving you a win condition. Like, I don't understand what your win condition is by playing to topside in this vertical jungle. You're just, creating an absolute disaster. Anyway, the other thing that Legacy also could have done is, in this situation, Tally, he obviously doesn't want to base yet. I'm assuming because he either doesn't have pickaxe gold, or maybe he feels like he still has a corrupting bot and a biscuit, and he wants to maybe freeze, because this is actually going to slow push back out to him. Maybe he wants to prevent Jensen from getting a tempo reset or whatever. I don't know. Either Tally has to call Jarvan to hover in mid lane, and they have to look for something off this bounced wave, or Tally just has to recall, accept reality, maybe go back for an early D-Blade or something like that. and just TP back, and then freeze the wave on his side, and maybe call for an early 2v2. Because what happens if he instantly bases for a D-blade, and then like TP's back or something, Jensen's not going to have enough time to break this, to get this under tower. Then Jarvan can come, and then they can take a sloppy or scrappy 2v2 in which Lucian's going to be stronger than the Orianna. Orianna's going to be forced to recall herself, then TP back. Then again, Broxah's going to have to come back here, show on the map, and then maybe there's potential for something to happen. But as soon as Barbip has to gank top like this, showing on the map, Tally's completely screwed. So also I think this is partly Tally not really understanding how to play this matchup and kind of getting outclassed in the 1v1, probably getting hit by a lot of Qs and that sort of thing. So I think it's a combination of Tally getting outplayed, Broxah Jensen understanding the mid-jungle 2v2 better, and Barbip not really understanding win conditions. Now at this point, he's completely screwed. He needs Jarvan to come help him. So he has to accept reality, base all the way, ideally not get his base stopped. But anyway, even in this situation, the wave's slow building out. So he needs to be telling Barbip right now, I need you to hover me to get this wave into tower. He shouldn't be caught, like, he obviously is in this mindset. I mean, I can't hear the comms, right? Either one or two things happened. He's not calling it at all, thinking that he can maybe get the wave out himself, or Barbip's like, no, I need to go bot, or I need to clear my camps or whatever, because Barbip probably feels incredibly pressured to do camps because he's versing a Graves, and he knows Graves is likely taking his Raptors right now. He's getting further and further and further behind. So he probably feels terrible right now, knowing that he hasn't really done anything in the early game, levels 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and Graves is, again, going to outscale, out-tempo, that sort of thing. So right now, though, Tally needs Barbip to come straight out of base to mid, hover him so they can get the wave out, so then Tally can get the wave in a manageable location. Because if he doesn't, this is exactly the thing that can happen. Because Tally should know that Jensen's going to get level 6 first, so he doesn't have the ability to get the wave out 1v1. So this is just beautiful League of Legends from Team Liquid. I think it's some bit of suboptimal League of Legends from Legacy, but it really does show how the small details, all the way going back to draft phase, understanding how you win a game, understanding your champion's identity, tying back to wave control, XP advantages, your jungle understanding how the trading pattern goes in the 1v1. Also communicating with your jungle way in advance what you want them to do. Jensen and Broxah seem like they're just one step ahead. Broxah is always in the right place at the right time. Legacy are way too slow. And then you just get yourselves into these very, very sticky situations. So after this, the game just explodes. So overall, I think that Team Liquid played very well. Legacy have a lot to work on. Be very interesting to see how this pans out for the rest of the tournament. But hopefully you guys get a bit of value from this. I know I kind of waffled on. Maybe it was a little bit overly complicated, whatever. But if you want to see more of this sort of analysis, just let me know. And let me know in the comments, and I can maybe do some more videos with Worlds content. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.